crazy to think that the Baltimore Orioles kind of had a good offseason? Not even just a good offseason, a pretty damn good offseason. And am I wrong to think that they're going to be better than they were last year? Not going to be a last place team in the AL East this year in 2026? Not asking for a friend. I am asking simply for myself. Now, I know last year on the surface, they went 75 and 87. Not a good year for the Baltimore Orioles whatsoever. Way worse than they did the previous season, 91 and 71, and way worse than they were in 2023 when they kind of arrived early, won 101 games, but they still haven't won a playoff game, even though they've lost the wild card series 2-0 last year, and then they got swept in the division series in 2023. So it has been kind of brutal, and you would be correct to say that they're heading in the wrong direction than we thought they were going to. We thought they were going to take off from 2023 and 2024. It just has not gone that way. However, I do think that they are going to be better this year. You take a look at their roster, and I really like what they're working with. Jackson Holiday leading off. Again, take the way the lineup is constructed with a grain of salt. This is Fangraphs, not Frangraphs, although maybe I'll start calling it that from now on and just consider Fran as a friend. Whatever, I don't know, my humor is weird. But anyway, Jackson Holiday is going to be 22 years old this year, and I think he took a step forward last year. What did he do last year? Pretty decent year compared to his rookie season. A 1.2 WAR, 96 WRC plus, a 690 OPS, if you can kind of see right there. Jordan Westburg, he missed a lot of time. That's another thing. They dealt with a lot of injuries last year. Jordan Westburg missed half the season, and he was a very, very good player for them. In 2024, he was an all-star. He kind of took off a lot more than people expected. Gunnar Henderson, also a very good year, and a lot of people, or myself included, I forgot about the kind of injuries he dealt with at the beginning of the year. He had a 4.8 F4, and that's kind of a down season for him. If you take a look at what he did in the first couple of months, let's go over to the Baseball Savant page. What do you do in the first couple months? The power is pretty much gone in April. 681 OPS, 3 homers, then 4 homers in May. But June, July, very, very, very good. 902 OPS in June, 881 OPS in July. And then he kind of tailed off towards the later months of the season. But overall, I mean, 274 average, 17 homers, 30 steals, 787 OPS, pretty good with the glove. I think it's safe to assume, or maybe not assume, but hope that he has a better year when it comes to power in 2026. 17 homers, a bit low for him when you factor in he had 37 the year before and 28 the year before that. However, what the Orioles did add, the big move, Pete Alonso in the offseason. He is in Baltimore on a 5-year deal worth I don't remember, 165 mil. I don't remember. I'm taking that off the top of my head. He's going to hit. He always hits. That is a big addition for this Baltimore Orioles roster, especially when you factor in that they were 23rd in offensive WAR with 14.1. So that is something they greatly needed to add, and not only add, but I just think there's a lot of guys that need to be a little bit better. Colton Cowser, another guy who missed a lot of time with injury last year, and when he was playing, he wasn't very good. This is a dude who finished second in Rookie of the Year voting last year, 83 OPS plus, 16 homers, less than 200 average, but still a 655 OPS. Now that is a low OPS, but when you think of a 196 batting average with not a great slug, OPS of 655 is kind of optimistic as far as a batting average that low with low slug, in my opinion. Year before that, I mean, 242 average, 120 OPS plus, second of the rookie year voting, like I mentioned before. Maybe he just gets healthy and has a year similar to 2024. Maybe it's a little bit in between 24 and 25. And if that's the case, it is still a better year. They brought in Taylor Ward, traded away Grayson Rodriguez. They kind of gave up on him. A lot of people were very, very confused about this trade. But Grayson Rodriguez, there must have been something that they knew, the Orioles knew that we didn't. Maybe the physical is something they just didn't want to see. And they were willing to give up the 4 years of control for Grayson Rodriguez, who was a top pick, a top prospect in the last couple coming up through the Baltimore Orioles system. He missed all of 2025. The most innings pitched he's had was 122 and 23. 24, he had 116 and 2/3 innings pitched. Pretty good when he has been on the mound, but not the ace that we kind of wanted to see. But they brought in Taylor Ward, who had a very, very good year last year. 36 home runs was a career high from Taylor Ward. They have him slotted in as their left fielder. Dylan Beavers also slotted in, as he's been one of their top prospects coming up in the majors. Sammy Basayo, also their top prospect in the organization. So those two, granted, they're slated in the starting lineup. I don't think that's going to be the case. They're probably not going to be starting everyday player, especially Samuel Basayo. They do still have Tyler O'Neill, who had a horrendous year last year, but there is room for improvement there. You would think that maybe he gets healthy, and when he is healthy, he's been very good. 2024 was a big year for him. They also still have Ryan Mountcastle on the bench for them, and he has been kind of on the downward trend. Maybe he taps into what he has been in the past, but who knows? That is something I am not really holding my breath for. But we have got to figure out what is going on with Adley Rutschman. It kind of blows my mind that he is 28 years old. I would still think of him as, a young dude. 28 is still not really that old by a lot of standards, but we're coming up on 2 full seasons of him not being a great player, not being like a top catcher, or like not even a top 10 catcher per se. He's still pretty good with he doesn't chase, he doesn't strike out, he takes his walks, he squares the ball up. But I mean, his other underlying metrics are just not very good, especially when you look at 2023. His expected batting average is 289, WOBA 93rd percentile, and just he's been on a downward trend. I know a lot of people point to after the first half in 2024, he got hurt, or he had a foul tip hit him on the wrist or the hand, and he was injured after that. However, he should have healed by that. He should have healed from that by now, correct? Am I wrong? I know he missed half the season last year, but I hope that Adley comes back and is just a dominant, like a top 10 catcher in the league again. But time is kind of running out, and I think if he does come back and is a reliable catcher, then I do think that is huge for the Baltimore Orioles. I think it is. I know it's huge for the Baltimore Orioles, because I do think that when you factor in their whole lineup, when their lineup as a whole, when you have Jackson Holliday making improvements, when you have Jordan Westbrook healthy like he was in 2024, Gunnar Henderson healthy like he was in 2024, Pete Alonso doing his thing, and then Adley Rutschman perhaps taking a step forward and getting back to his early 2023 self as a very good top half of the lineup, especially if you consider maybe Colton Cowser getting healthy again and performing like he did when he finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting. Samuel Basayo, I can never seem to pronounce his name correctly. If he just is the guy that we all want him to be and we all think he can be, that's a pretty good lineup. And then you still have Tyler O'Neill and Ryan Mountcastle on the bench, who can probably hit your lefties. They'll probably flip-flop with maybe Beavers and Basayo in the lineup against lefties, like I said. But also, there are some good things about the rotation. I don't think it's a sure thing whatsoever. That has always kind of been a thing where they needed to work on, so it was kind of puzzling when they traded Grayson Rodriguez away. But Trevor Rogers had an amazing season last year. Incredible season last year. 1.81 ERA across 18 starts. However, it is only 18 starts. You got Kyle Bradish coming back from Tommy John, and he put up some good numbers last year. 6 starts, 2.53 ERA in 32 innings. Striking out the world pretty much, 13.22 K per 9. Granted, 32 innings. They traded for Shane Baz, who we've seen flashes of brilliance from. What did he do? He did not have a great season last year, but I do believe that 2024 was a pretty good season for Shane Baz, who came up with the Rays, who was traded. I believe, was it the Austin Meadows, Chris Archer trade? I don't remember off the top of my head. 2024 did really, really well in 14 starts, 3.06 ERA in 14 starts. Last year, not amazing. Walks were high, hits were high. Maybe he finds himself in between what he did in those 2 years and is a reliable starter. Need some innings out of all these guys. Dean Kramer, not amazing last year, but middle of the road. Wouldn't mind if he was a 5. Zach Eflin is slated to be the number 5 starter on that team. Now, he had a really good year. What was it, 2 years ago, or 2024 or 2023? Yes, in 2024, he was very, very good. If we can take a look here, he had a 3.59 ERA once he came over from the Rays. first full season with Baltimore. I think he dealt with some injuries, not great last year. His FIP was 5.64 with a 5.93 ERA. So that definitely needs some work. I definitely think that they're still going to have to rely on offense. However, they did bring in a couple of big free agent relievers in Ryan Helsley, Andrew Kittredge. I know Ryan Helsley tailed off with the Mets, but there was stuff floating around like he was tipping his pitches. But when he is on, he's very, very dominant. Andrew Kittredge was brought in. He had a really good year last year. 3.40 ERA, 53 innings pitched, still strikes out a lot of batters. A couple guys like Keegan Aiken and Yennier Cano have shown flashes of dominance out of the pen, but it's still a little bit left to be desired there, especially when you have Felix Bautista having a torn rotator cuff in his shoulder. So he's one of the more dominant, intimidating closers in baseball, but we haven't seen that for a couple years, and he has an injury history now, and he's on the wrong side of 30. So I think the main thing for the Orioles, if they want to get back to where they thought they were going, is they need to get healthy in the lineup, and they need to hit. Big points to Adley Rutschman and Jackson Holliday for taking steps forward. And we need Jordan Westburg and Gunnar Henderson to be healthy as well. Gunnar Henderson needs to play up to his MVP form. And Pete Alonso, they just need to have him keep doing what he was doing with the Mets. I mean, almost guaranteed 30 homers, 100 RBIs there. So you love to see that. But anyway, I think the Orioles could end up being, I don't think they could challenge for first place in the AL East, but I think they could challenge for third and second in a wild card spot. I do think the Yankees and the Blue Jays are still ahead of them, but it is exciting to hopefully see them healthy and hopefully see the young kids like Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson play up to what we all think they can be, and hopefully seeing Adley Rutschman get back to his normal form, because I love Adley Rutschman. I still think of the clip of his major league debut when he takes it all in. He just kind of looks around the stadium, and that's one of my favorite clips in recent baseball memory. It's very nice to see a dude just soak it all in when he gets to the majors. And anyway, cool story, bro. Make sure to leave a like if you like this type of video. Let me know what you think about the Baltimore Orioles and what they can do in the upcoming season, and let me know how I can make these videos better. I just love doing this. I don't really have time for the fancy edits anymore, but I just still want to make contact and talk some ball a little bit. So let me know what I can do. I'll see you all later. Peace.